3, 2, 1. Chakras into line. Bit of life in it. Ba-dum bum bum. Ba-dum bum bum.
Hi, welcome to Boating on a Budget.
We've had a funny week or two, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, we've had problems with the weather. It's been like rainy, sunny. I think we've even had a bit of hailstone in there as well, haven't we?
Every weather possible, haven't we, really?
And we've obviously hit a few stumbling blocks along the way. I'm sure you're kind of aware from the previous video we kind of revealed all those issues with the roof.
Niggles, let's call them.
Niggles, yeah, I like that. I think though we are on the right track, as you'll see in a little bit. We've done some more research, we've had some more help, and we've ordered some bits, haven't we, for doing that roof. So I think now it is just waiting for the right weather.
Yeah.
So this episode's a bit of a catch up, just to see all the various little bits and bobs we've been doing around the place, get everyone back up to speed and see where we are.
So first off, let's have a look at the shower tray that Peter's been building.
And yeah, I'm building a shower tray. Before I had to build the tray though, I need to get the wall boarded. Just some 5.5mm ply for now, obviously cut and scribed to fit the shapes. Once all the shower tray and everything's in, we'll then be skidding all these areas with something like that plastic wet wall, something like that. Obviously needs to be waterproof, and it needs to make sure all the water from in and around the shower ends up in that shower tray so it can be pumped out. So I've nearly finished my brew, better get my tools out, we'll get cracking. We'll just pop this wall up first off. That's got the boards on then, bottom one on this side and all of them on that side. They will need more supports and things, but for now all I want them on there for is just to make sure I've got the right measurement, so that as we're building this shower tray, we're building it so it fits nice and snug. Obviously the last thing I want to do is build a shower and then find it don't fit. Talking of which, this is going to be our shower tray. Nothing like you'll have ever seen on a boat or in a house before. This is going to be a wooden shower tray made with the same timber as what I've made that toilet with. Once it's actually made up as a rectangle, the inside of it will all be fiberglassed to make it waterproof. There won't be a drain in the bottom of this shower. Not a drain coming out the bottom at all. The reason for that is, if you ask a lot of people on boats what's caused leaks inside the boat, they'll tell you it's the shower tray, or the drain, or the plumbing associated with it. That's because your shower tray is obviously sat on the floor, and therefore all the pipe work and everything is under the floor, where you've got no room to work and you can't get your hands in to tighten things, and you can't get spanners and sockets and things in. So those tend to be the weak points in the system. That's where things sort of open up. So by making it so that there's nothing under the floor, we're eliminating that issue altogether. And what you normally have is, where the drain comes out under the floor, it then pumps back out, normally into the canal. That's called grey water, it goes into the canal. What we're going to do is, once this rectangle's made and fiberglassed, there's going to be a pump just here that's going to pump the water out and up the side of the bathroom. And the first thing you might think is, well, pumps never get right down to the bottom, so that means that we'd be stood in a little bit of water all the time, slopping about. But what we're going to do is, we're going to put a false floor in this, slightly above that fiberglass. I think a lot of people refer to them as duck boards, not quite sure why. But basically it'll have a false floor in it, so it'll be stood on that. Any water will be underneath that, that'll be pumped out. So we'll eliminate any leaks under the floor, and we'll have a lovely shower that's made of this gorgeous reclaimed timber instead of some plastic. Let's have a look at how we're going to actually build this shower tray then. Basically I started pottering with it yesterday, and I just intended drawing it out and marking a few boards up, and then I got carried away and did a bit more and a bit more. But in essence what I've done is I've cut the boards to the right size, and then along this bottom edge, you'll probably be able to see there, I used the router and I've took a pass out all the way along. What that means is, once it's all built up, we'll be able to cut a sheet of plywood to the right size, and that'll glue and screw in there, and that'll make this beautiful and solid. It'll not be moving anywhere. Because obviously once we fiberglass inside, we don't want this timber flexing or twisting. But when you look at how thick it is and how sturdy it is and built properly, that ain't going nowhere. The actual method I'm going to use for joining them is the same sort of method as I used when we built that arch top. Countersunk some screw holes, so we'll screw them in place, again adhesive on the back, and then we'll put the plugs in over the top so you'll never see where the screws were. To be honest, most of them you'll not see anyway because they're in places that are hidden. There's only really one of the joints that you're actually going to see where the screws were. That's explained it best I can. Only other thing to do is actually start building it and see how it all comes together. So I've used grip fill on those joints as well as the screws, and the clue's kind of in the title with grip fill. It grips and it fills. So we're working with the reclaimed timber. If there's any little imperfections in the joints, in the timber and anything like that, that fills them and it holds it all nicely together. So that's going to be rock solid. What I'm going to do now is just slot it in place just to make sure it's all built up nice and square, and then we can look at cutting that plywood for the bottom. Having said that, I've not had a brew for a while. Kettle on, I think. That's got the plywood on, and I've put 2 layers on. I've fastened one underneath on that rebate that I've done, and I've put one then on top of that. A few little screws and a load of grip fill to hold it down. The final piece of the jigsaw is, because I'm going to fiberglass all in here, fiberglass is really strong other than on 90-degree corners. It doesn't like 90-degree corners. So what you need to do is build out that bottom corner. I say that as though I know what I'm talking about. I've never done fiberglassing. This and a few repairs on the body will be my learning curve. But from what I've seen, like I say, don't like square corners, so you just put a load of grip fill or anything like that in the bottom just to round it off so that the fiberglass sheet can follow the curve rather than going into the corner. So that's what I'm doing. Just put a dollop of the grip fill in there and just smooth it off. I'm just using a bag because once you get this stuck on your hands, it never comes off. Bearing in mind as well where I've done this, the top section that you'll see, I will clean off any bits that aren't fiberglassed, and obviously all the bottom bit is going to be covered with that extra board anyway, so you're not going to see that. The main point of the fiberglassing, obviously, make it waterproof. That's the key to it. So I think all that remains to do with this for now then is I'm just going to pop it in place and I'll leave it to dry for a few hours before we want to give it a sand over, a clean up, and then a varnish with some waterproof varnish on the outside and prepare it ready for that fiberglassing on the inside. We had intended kind of doing that shower tray right through, finishing it all off, getting it all fastened in and more or less doing the bathroom before showing it.
Yeah.
But like we said, we've had a few stumbling blocks and things. So although we are actually slightly further on the shower tray than that, we thought we'd at least bring you up to speed and show you that, and then hopefully in a week or two's time we can do kind of more of a let's finish the bathroom off kind of video, can't we? Here we've got the fiberglass system that we're going to use then, and this lot weren't cheap, were it? It weren't cheap at all. I mean, obviously we run through the costings from time to time, but we're looking at about 150 quid there, aren't we? Basically we've gone for this West Systems, haven't we? We've been recommended this by quite a few people, and seemingly it's sort of some of the best stuff you can buy, although it's not the cheapest.
No.
But it's quite an important job we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to repair the roof, which obviously keeps the water out, and you know that's not something we want to be messing about with cheap stuff and finding 6 months down the line that we've messed it up. And we've obviously not done this sort of thing before, so we thought if we got the best stuff, the right stuff, we're eliminating sort of one of the ticky issues that could go wrong,
Yeah.
can't we? 'Cause
Yeah, did we buy the cheapest so it's gone worse?
yeah, if we bought cheap stuff and it don't work, then we'd think, well, was that the reason or
Yeah.
whatever. At least we know, as best we can, we've got the right stuff, we've got a good quality stuff, and we've done loads of studying. And when we actually come to do it, we'll probably give a couple of people a mention, because we've had a few people. One lad's made us a video
I'm gonna say
of how
there's
to
been
do
some
it.
really good response on
Yeah,
it.
and we've watched loads of YouTube videos and sort of loads of advice, and we think now we've got the technique, don't we? We think we know what we're doing. It's just a case of partly waiting for the weather, because although it's sunny out there, we're still in this mixed weather, aren't we?
Yeah.
Seemingly in the next week or so it should brighten up so we can crack on. But yeah, in essence, I mean, we've got kind of resin and hardener. This seems to be an important part to it. They go on to the resin and hardener, and as you pump each one of them, it douses it out correctly.
Yeah.
So you can't
That's
get too much hardener or too much resin. So that seems to be a crucial part. We've got kind of a special roller to sort of squeegee it out and whatever, you get rid of the air. This is the actual fiberglass matting that, again, we'll talk about in a bit more detail, or a lot more detail as we do it. But I think it's what's called a biaxial matting, which means it's made up with lots of strands that go at
opposite
ways.
Yeah.
It gives lots of strength, and the sort of stuff it's made from, again, gives strength, which used with the epoxy resin is more or less as good as you get. And then there's some, like this is basically a filler that you put in with it, so where you've got big lumps and bumps, you put a bit of filler in with the resin as you go. Like we say, that seems to be the right product, and hopefully in a week or two's time
we'll try it.
we'll give it a go. That's definitely not one of the jobs that we're really looking forward to doing, is it?
No.
Obviously, as we've just said there, we're not sort of experienced in what we're doing there, and I think we've got a feeling it's going to go kind of one way or the other, isn't it? It's either going to end up being, oh yeah, well, you know, we can do this, or it's going to be a
No, we can't.
absolute
But
nightmare.
better to give it a try, aren't we?
Well, that's it. We can give it a try. Worst case is we have to scratch your head, start again with plan B.
Yeah.
But one job we are looking forward to doing is this kitchen.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It's going to be a cracker, and as you'll see, we have already started it. We had a week or so off together, didn't we? And we thought we'd use that time to get the basics of it in.
But while it rained, at least we could work indoors, couldn't we?
Yeah, seemed kind of a logical situation that we were kind of at a crossroads with other
Absolutely,
jobs. So
yeah.
jump on something else, make a start on it.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got the first section of the kitchen put in. Dawn, what are you doing, Dawn?
This is my new baby.
Your new baby, your new oven. Come on then, before we talk about this bit of framework and things, tell them all about your new oven.
I love her. She's so cute. She's got an oven and a grill.
Both important things.
Absolutely. And 3 rings, which I think's absolutely plenty.
Yeah, we've kind of bummed and hard, haven't we, about
Yeah.
should we have had an oven anyway, or were we alright with just a hob? Originally in here, when we first got the boat, there were 5 hobs, weren't there, and no oven, and we did think about keeping that, maybe getting a Dutch oven to use on them.
I never use 5 rings, I only use 2 on nuts and bolts, don't I?
So when we went down to the Chandlers that we mentioned last time, we had a look, and that one you decided you liked. It's a good compromise, because like you said, we've got the oven, we've got the grill, and we've got 3 hobs, and it's fairly compact. Because now you've done your hugging, we'll have a little run through of the kitchen shower.
Okay.
If you can just keep away from your oven,
I like her though,
just
she's
for a
lovely.
minute. We'll start with this framework, because believe it or not, this framework took us 2 days to put together, didn't it? And incidentally, that's not including these worktops, these are just sat in place. So it took us 2 days to get all this in. And what did you hear for 2 days? Because if I blow my own trumpet slightly for a minute, this boat is completely out of square, out of level, all that
it's
we
awful.
say. But the distance from there to there and there to there is exactly the same. The height of that is exactly the same as that. The distances across, putting a level on the perfect, and that's what we spent 2 days doing in it, making sure where I measured there were the same as where it measured there. So for 2 days it were like, You know the saying, measure twice, cut once. This were measure 72 times.
And don't cut it.
And then don't cut it, come back and measure it twice more. But yeah, so the theory being, obviously this framework is literally just a framework. On top of this there will be all the nice fancy trims.
Yeah.
Which is why we didn't show building this, because we built it exactly the same as I built that cupboard down the front. It just took us 2 days to do it. And it's not really the finished thing, it's not the exciting bit, not the interesting bit. So we just kind of got this framework in.
But it's gives you some 100% to work on, aren't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, everything we now know
you
is...
can put a square piece of wood and it will fit, won't it?
It says. Fingers crossed.
It better do. It better do.
So we've got now the basic framework, and how it's going to work is, obviously, we've got cupboard, then we've got this recess here, which is for the fridge, which basically is what everything was built around.
Yeah,
we had to work out.
built in, hasn't it?
Yeah, we had to work out the height of where the fridge was going to sit to build the rest of the worktops to that height and everything.
Yeah.
So fridge will be there, then there'll be another cupboard door there. There'll not be a cupboard door on that. It's probably the only little niggle, isn't it? Because obviously where the steps come down, you'd never open a door.
But you can put your pots
so
in
it's
kind of
going to be the dead end space in it around there. But it's still usable space.
Yeah, of course it is.
Same on this side then, the little cupboard into there. And then there'll be 2 full cupboards, and obviously this is sitting there. So there'll be a little cupboard underneath for sort of your trays and things like that, isn't there? And then the all important sink, which is a smaller sink than normal because obviously these worktops aren't as wide as a normal worktop.
No.
It's still also big enough to get plates in, so a lot of the little ones we were looking at,
they were tiny, weren't they?
You couldn't even fit really a dinner plate in the sink, could you? Never mind an actual like pan or anything. How many places did we look for a sink?
Hundreds. We trolled the internet.
Trolled the internet looking for a sink that were the right width and the right length. Couldn't find one for love nor money. And then I happened to be on Screwfix website to order some stuff into some screws and things. First, I just thought, well, I'll just try sink, see what it comes up. First one that came up.
Perfect.
Bang on the right size. And that's actually going over there. So obviously you'll have, oh, let me just rest that down. You'll have cooker there with the hob, and then you've got sink just there. And incidentally, talking of the sink, when we bought the boat, we took out a nice round sink that we've kept all this time, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to go back in. And then at the last minute, he decided he didn't want a round sink because everything's square and boxy. So we're now fitting our new square boxy sink in front of a round porthole. But I think that gives the basic sort of layout as to what we've kind of done to get it like up to, if you like, the start point of fitting the kitchen. Next video we'll be fitting the actual hob and the sink and the worktops and sort of things like that. So it'll actually start to look like a kitchen. Because the idea is, once the hob's in place and the sink's in place, and we've done that bit of tweaking around the bathroom, we can actually get the gas and the water all plumbed in and fitted in. And then we've got a working oven, a working sink, a working shower. Obviously we've got a working toilet because it's the compost toilet, so that doesn't need anything. So hopefully within the next few weeks, that'd mean that,
together, won't it?
that everything's kind of working. So as we carry on with this bit of project of the kitchen later on this week, we will sort of fill you in on a few more of the little details, won't we? Like, you know, like I said, this is where the fridge is going, but we've had to kind of build a bit of a false floor under there and things, haven't we? And, you know, we'll show you that as we go along, so you can see exactly how and why the kitchen's kind of been built up as it was.
Yeah.
But it does mean over this next week or two, we've kind of got, obviously, kitchen to carry on with. We really want to get that bathroom sort of more or less finished, you know, the shower tray and things finished. Yeah.
At least usable, isn't it?
And we've got this roof to deal with, so we've got plenty to be getting on with over the roof. We have got plenty to be getting on with over the next few weeks, haven't we, that I think will more than keep us out of mischief.
I'm not telling tales out of school, but Peter went shopping.
Shh, don't tell everyone.
Well, you tell everybody when I go shopping.
I know, it's not very often I go shopping though, is it?
You spend more money than I ever do in one trip.
Yeah.
Tell them what you bought.
Well, what didn't we buy? The first thing we bought was a nice new chimney.
I like my chimney.
So we'll have a look at fitting that. We must apologise here that we recorded that without putting the microphone on. Never really realised, set the camera up, we were that eager to get on and get this new chimney fitted. Set the camera up and it was a bit windy when we were doing it, so it does pick up a bit of wind noise. Very unprofessional of us, that, isn't it?
Tut tut to you.
Mr. YouTube will be slapping our Dannies.
Oh, bless him. Smart.
Got a little hat on now, hasn't she, bless her?
I like that. We've also bought some really nice fenders.
They weren't a bad price either, were they?
No.
To be honest. But I think in the fullness of time we'd like some nice fancy rope ones, wouldn't we, that are like handmade. And at least for now, these ones we bought, they've smartened it, but it's better than having motorbike tyres hanging off the side of the boat anyway.
I think they look okay.
And then, is it a javelin? Is it a jousting stick? Or is it a barge pole? Oh, and did we mention we've also got a new solar system to fit? These jobs, they're just, we're not ticking jobs off the list, are we? We're adding jobs on the bottom. Each one we tick off there, we put like 4 more on the bottom.
Yeah, we do. It does seem to be like that though, doesn't it?
We have had a slight change of plan on the solar system, which we will obviously cover as we show fitting that. I think with all that to do then, we are going to need a few beers.
Yeah.
And we must say a massive thank you to one of our viewers, Philip Allen, who after the last video, where we'd asked for help and advice on the fiberglassing, he messaged and said, I'm sorry, but I don't know anything about fiberglassing. So what I've done is I've sent you a few quid to your PayPal account so you can get yourself some beers, and that might at least help you along the way.
Yep.
So cheers, Philip. Much appreciated. Hopefully then everyone's liked this video. Oh yeah, give them the big thumbs up. Because it has been a little bit different again to how we quite often put the videos together. But like we said, it's just kind of life in it that's got in the way, hasn't it? You know, the plan we had of, right, well, we'll do each little project and finish that before starting the next. With various things like the weather and like issues we've come across, it's just meant it's working out slightly different.
Yeah.
But it's all coming together, innit?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So, I think all that leaves us to do is drink our drink, and we'll see everyone later.
Yep.
Bye bye, folks.